everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. I thought this was kind of funny because I set this video up to get rid of the screens and just try to see if it would work to just have, like the camera. But when I went to go live, it was already on screencast somehow, and it definitely wasn't. But regardless, whatever. It's been a weird day as far as the internet and myself is concerned. How you guys doing? Let me turn the chat on. Appreciate the thumbs up. Doesn't mean anything. At this point, it's just like telling me, you appreciate it. Because it's not helping with the algorithms. It's not helping with the shit I seen today. Makes me lose a lot of hope, unfortunately. And that's to be expected, I guess. It's just when it actually hits you and it sets in, it's a little frustrating to say the least. What's up, Jay Cree? Yeah, I was just going for a walk. Actually, the first time I attempted to do this, I was walking to Wally World, and this was right after the live stream attempt. And I tried doing non-screencast, a walk and talk like I used to do back in the day. And I tried it 3 different times, and I know how it works. It's pretty consistent. Whether it's a small number or a few more, you still within a minute, people are going to join if anybody's going to join. If you go over a minute, especially a minute 30, and you still have 0 people watching, it means you can spend the next 10 minutes and you'll still have 0 people watching. So what I try to do, and it usually works, is delete that stream, start it up again. And you guys have heard me say this before, and I do that for that reason. Not this time. There are some things that are going on that I want to talk, maybe just to get it off my own chest, This is probably therapeutic in a way to sit here and vent to you guys. Maybe it's the opposite of that. I'm not sure yet. But nonetheless, there are important things going on that are worthy of discussion, especially the things that clearly weren't supposed to be discussed. And a call for an uprising I seen actually on my way to Wally World had also covered this. And he covered this even before I did it. So I would have been ripping his shit off anyway. Not really, because everybody's talking about it. But October 4th, I'm going to be careful about saying it for now, just so I don't have to deal with it right off the jump. If I get time towards the end of this, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in, and we'll just chalk it up to that. Pretty crazy though. Definitely. So to be honest with you, well, I guess let's just get into it, right? I didn't think anything of October 4th. So yeah, everybody, how could you have missed it along, the last couple of weeks have been one or the other 3-letter alphabet gang mainstream media networks have put it out there that FEMA will be conducting, and that's pretty odd, but it still didn't raise any like alarm bells. I was just like, wow, they're really all about it this year, And yeah, of course, the typical things like, oh, I wonder what they got planned, big earthquake, are they going to use a direct energy weapon? Yeah, that type of shit. But nothing beyond that. Although I was aware of some of the things people were talking about with the frequencies and stuff, pertaining to that type of thing. But I was kind of one of the pioneers of that. So I'm really just kind of ignoring myself. Very early on, even way before COVID, we were talking about like these nanotechnologies, this stuff that they're potentially putting in other things. Well, that's not for nothing, right? It's not like they're just sliding these nanotechnologies in things that may or may not go inside people's bodies. Because it sounds good on the ingredient list. They serve functions, they have purposes. And when you look at what those are, when you see the patents and listen to the professors and scientists that created them brag about it and become obsessed with their work, get arrested for selling it to the CCP. That never happened. I don't know what I'm even talking about. You guys know the deal with that, but we've been talking about things similar to this for a long time, so it would be foolish for me to brush off an actual. Well, I didn't. To be fair, I didn't really consider that the FEMA alarm sound was anything of significance, right? Because we hear them all the But then I started seeing articles from a month ago, and I have them up, that talk about, well, let's just take a look at one. I thought it was interesting that they were focusing on the sound, or your phone will be blaring on this day for nationwide test. Here's what to know about the nationwide emergency alert system. This is a different one. Americans everywhere will receive a loud emergency test in October. Here's why. All these things deal with frequencies, right? And volume, which actually plays a part as some of the stuff I had up with. But every time I tried to cover this in any significant manner, it was for nothing. It was a waste of time. And then I even tried editing it together. I'm just not what it was, just a bunch of nonsense. I've seen some stuff. I've seen crazy, weird coincidences. You could, I guess, if that's like, I try to be a realist. I try to think of possible explanations and not just, jump to what it probably is. Everything has its dues, right? You gotta give it all fair. Otherwise, you're just being biased and you're looking for the answer to fit what it is that you believe. But this shit, I don't know, man. When they were on they had to have been like, how you can't just access somebody's Mobazin account. It's not connected to the internet. That's not like open like that. You have to gain access through their IP. There has to be a connection there. You have to ping them. There's a whole process. That's like getting it. Or for some reason, Mobazin happened to malfunction at the exact same times that YouTube kicked me off my live stream when I was doing it. As soon as I talked about very specific articles, YouTube was the first. They were like, no, redo your live stream. So I'd have to bring it back, do it all that. And then I got sick of it. Decided, let's just make a video and put it up there. And then that was a problem, because even the recording of the actual video, as soon as they got to those specific articles or scientific research papers, it would just cut off. So those three, editing, trying to piece it together, cutting off the video, YouTube cutting off the live, each one about 3 times. So that's 9 separate times, all based on the exact same information. Not the other ones, not like a part of it. Was soon as I jumped to 2 different. I'll let you know what they are. We'll cover them in depth. That let me know some things, but I just got to figure out a different way to approach them. So the noise, blah blah, FEMA. For those that don't know, if just in case you didn't know, October 4th, FEMA is going to be. Well, let's just go ahead. On October 4th, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the Federal Communications Commission will conduct a nationwide test of the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts across every device in the U.S. Every device is a pretty powerful statement in the U.S., including TVs, radios, and cell phones. And this is including, not only, this isn't it. They say every device. Every device. Here's what you should know. When's the alert going to happen? 2:20 Eastern Time. Will last around 30 minutes. But then they're doing it again on October 11th, by the way. So my money would be on the 11th because everybody's in an uproar about the 4th. Nothing will happen, and then they're going to be like, see, it was a bunch of nonsense. And then secretly, like, no, who's talking about October 11th? Nobody. Find me one. Send me the link. That'd be my guess. That's where my money would be. They play everybody like a bunch of violins. Got us all sitting here talking about October 4th, including myself. But really, I mean, if you're doing it twice, my money would be on the latter. I'm not going to click the articles that cut me off. It's not worth shutting it off because I'm going to just try to run through some of the stuff and kind of dance around things that will just definitely end my stream. This is their take on the conspiracy theory. I love covering the media covering conspiracy theories. It is so enlightening. You get so much more information out of the news covering things that aren't news than you do them pretending to do their job. Like, don't pay attention to this. Like, this is what we're going to tell you right now is people that are lying. Don't listen to them. We're going to tell you the truth. But that also can be used against you if you don't use discernment, right? You could. It's not like they're not aware of those same types of thoughts. They got a whole teams of people that think like 14 steps ahead of all this. And it's the government, and they do weird shit anyway. They probably have people in black budget DARPA programs like they were doing in, I forget the name of the place. But like having people using ESP powers in basements predict how the stock market's going to go. Like they have weird stuff going on anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if... I digress. Let me get back on track here. Post-tie U.S. emergency alert to conspiracy theories. You guys see the word there. You're going to have to, right? You're going to have to. They're definitely not trying to get the word out anymore. So the only way to know if I'm going live is probably a little ESP. U.S. officials scheduled a nationwide alert for mobile phones and other devices. It's the fact that they're just being so broad and like, oh, every device, like that's a nonchalant statement. Well, yeah, FEMA's going to just broadcast on every device. In October to test an emergency warning system, but social media posts claim signals will have harmful health effects, with some drawing on conspiracy theories. Who else? Let's break that last statement down. To October to test an emergency warning system, but social media posts claim the signals will have harmful health effects, with some drawing on conspiracy theories about substances in COVID-19. You see the word. So that's two different parts there. We have a group of people that are just simply concerned, apparently, about the actual noise, the frequency, according to the media. Signals will have harmful health effects. What signals? Why are we calling them signals if it's just a sound? Signals are frequencies. little Freudian action kicking in with their writing. I don't really think they would have chosen that word. Maybe, unlikely. Will have harmful health effects, with some drawing on conspiracy theories about substances in the jabs. The assertions are false. Oh, well, thanks. No need to look any further, guys. Case closed. These broadcasts are the same used for decades and are harmless. And speaking of a call for an uprising or whatever it is, an eye for I forget what it was. He's got to play the game too, and he tries changing his name. But dude, they got you, man. I'm sure it's if you're not one of them, then you're on their radar. No matter what you make your name out to be, your IP, your location, your voice recognition, all of that, even the manner in which you type, all these things are signatures. You're not going to escape. You might as well just keep a call for an uprising so people know where to find you. But anyways, he had said something based along those lines. Let me try to how to word this without. If I leave this up, I don't want to get it straight later on. So, well, I guess we could just kind of come back to that because the next thing we're going to read is going to tie into that anyway, and it's not going to. Whatever. Just let me just read. I gotta. It's like a dancing around this thing. It's kind of pathetic. I don't know if I should. All right, let's do it anyway. U.S. officials scheduled a nationwide alert for mobile phone and other devices in October to test an emergency warning system, but social media posts claim the signals will have a harmful health effect, with some drawing on conspiracy theories about substances of COVID-19. Blank. The assertions are false. These broadcasts are the same used for decades and are harmless, according to FEMA and independent experts. Why, this side note, why do they have independent experts weighing in on the tone they're going to be playing, or have been for years for that matter? That's pretty. Anyway, the emergency broadcasting system is under FEMA is going to be activated. It's not a test system, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be sending these high frequency signals with the intention of activating nanoparticles, including graphene oxide. A similar claim from YouTuber Jason Churka in a now deleted video said the broadcast, disguised as a test, would be used to activate particles that have been inserted into billions of humans around the world through obvious means.
Сегодня я вам покажу, что происходит с магнитной рудой, когда рядом с ней расположен включенный мобильный телефон. Ну, включенный именно когда идет вызов. Пока выключенный. Сейчас я набираю номер. И смотрите, что будет происходить. Вот он, вызов пошел. Смотрите, что теперь. Ну. Вызов идет, если вы можете смотреть, видите.
Now, what you see on your screen is clearly graphene moving because there's a frequency. There's electromagnetic frequencies around it. That's kind of one of its key properties. That's why there's so many patents based on that. Particularly my favorite, obviously, like I mentioned, Charles Lieber and Robert Langer. Love this stuff. Robert Langer being the co-founder of Moderna, who also Moderna being the company that sued Pfizer because they stole their proprietary technology, being the mRNA jab. So it was Moderna was the first. Like, you can't file a lawsuit on somebody. You can, but you're not going to go anywhere, right? So it was clearly, like we said, it was Moderna's technology that started all this. So what's in this that they're talking about? Clearly not this. The media has already told us plenty of times that this stuff is not in there. Although there are some crazy, whacked out, reputable scientists that have found this, they say, and we probably shouldn't listen to what they say because word on the street and scientific papers is they only did like 22 or 23 different major experiments to find out if it was there, and they said it was there in everyone. Like, you didn't do 1,000? Like, we're supposed to trust you, and you didn't do 1,000 different tests? Trust CNN because they told me not to believe you. So clearly, all this is just garbage. This chair is so uncomfortable when I'm doing a live stream. You guys still in the chat? Is the chat even on? There's 4 of you in here. That's probably it. That's probably the max of viewership that being on here. This is where they like to terminate my live stream. The mainstream media a month ago was just warning us, letting us know. There was nothing attached to it. They're just like, hey, by the way, in a month from now, FEMA's going to be putting out an emergency test. Nothing to worry about. Our experts have checked it out. Everything's good. But then, about 3 weeks ago, they start like kind of hinting at the idea that this is, and what I mean by that is like all of them started putting out articles about it, which was weird, but still, whatever. They really want us to know that FEMA, like I said earlier, I was thinking like, well, what are they gonna do? Like another forest fire, that's a forest fire, or earthquake, a tsunami, something like that, natural disaster. But because that's usually when you hear FEMA, right? They usually try to come in and monopolize on those types of scenarios. But then the sound, the actual like them referring to the pitch, the loudness, the frequency, that was odd. So that drew my attention. And then as of late, they're debunking conspiracy theories, which we should know. If you're following me, you should anyway. Exactly what it means when the media is debunking conspiracy theories, because I have a long track record of nailing these things before they happen over and over again. Not bragging, just a fact. Based on almost entirely that formula. But then they go on to say about their experts and everything. They've looked into it. They've looked into the fact that the signal they're going to be broadcasting, their experts have said it's going to be fine. So they've spent money. They spent your tax dollars looking into whether or not, if this isn't true, then they're straight up lying to you. To add this is typing extra words and making sure millions of people will end up reading it. And you don't normally do that unless you want to do that or you're told to do that. So they wanted you to know that their experts have checked out this signal, this frequency, and have determined it's fine. Which is, even if this was all benign and on the up and up, that fact alone means that they're doing a bunch of other shit dealing with tones and frequencies that we should be paying attention to. Or it's what we're talking about now, or both and more. D, all of the above, probably. That's usually when you have the D, it's almost always D. So always circle D. Genetically magnetic control. So if you remember, we've talked about how some of these nanotechnologies that get inside you, that they have really gone out of their way to brag about it to us, all the wonderful things that it's capable of doing, mapping down the entire brain to the individual neuron. That's pretty impressive. Just how would you possibly get it inside people? That's the problem, right? They would never be able to. And then, even if they did get it inside people, how would they possibly ever get it past the blood brain barrier? They call it a barrier for a reason, right? A new neural stimulation method driven by magnetic field based on magnetic nanoparticles and TRPV4 ion channels. That's important. I know that sounds the TR. I remember some of you probably when I say that it sounds familiar to you, and it should because the TRPV4 ion channel has a lot to do with some other virus out there. A big one that they did a lot for. That and TMPRSS2 and the ACE2 receptors, these things are all intertwined. Maybe. Calcium transient, I don't. Let's just jump ahead. In recent years, various kinds of nanomaterials based invasive or non-invasive deep neural stimulation tools are developed for modulating neural systems and illuminating the relationship between neural circuits and specific behaviors. For better modulation of neural systems in clinical application, the neural stimulation nanotools should be optimized. In this work, we demonstrated a novel new non-invasive neural modulation approach relying on magnetic fields, which is realized by modifying magnetic nanoparticles with remember magnets? Remember people doing weird shit with magnets back in like 2020, 2021, late 2020, 2021, 2022? Something to do with, I can't really place my finger on it, but there's something going on. There was a bunch of people, and they were taking magnets, and people, and like magnets. And then I remember something, the media was there too. They were like, hey, don't look at this. This is fake. Even though there was like infinite amount of people doing it. Whatever that was. If only I could remember. So those are magnetic nanoparticles. Keep in mind, all of what I'm talking about, based upon this crazy notion that these things can be activated by radio frequencies. It's the World Health Organization telling us about electromagnetic fields in the public health mobile phones. Mobile phone use is ubiquitous with an estimated 6.9 billion subscriptions globally. Damn, that's outlandish. I had no idea. I would have guessed like 5.1 if somebody had asked. Subscriptions, though, that's not necessarily person usage. The electromagnetic fields produced by mobile phones are classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as possibly carcinogenic to humans. Yeah. Possibly means they are, but there's a lot of power behind them paying a bunch of scientists that are weak off. Anytime you see that, that's what that means, just so you know. WHO, World Health Organization, will conduct a formal risk assessment of all studied health outcomes from radio frequency field exposure by 2016. Then you can expect that PDF on my desk by tomorrow morning. Mobile or cellular phones are now an integral part of modern telecommunications. In many countries, over half the population use mobile phones, and the market is growing. 2014, there's an estimated blah, 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 blah. So what I want to get to is this little part here. Mobile phones are low-powered radio frequency transmitters operating at frequencies between 450 and 2700 megahertz with peak powers in the range of 0.01 to 2 watts. The handset or the transmit power, yada, yada, we know how they work. I thought this was an interesting article, unrelated to any of the stuff that we're talking about, even though they might have some of the same words. The black dust? What are you talking about? Like the nano? I'm not sure I'm familiar with what you're referring to. Neuronal activity under transcranial radio frequency stimulation in metal-free rodent brains. Now, metal-free doesn't mean nano-free. Doesn't mean nanotechnology-free rodent brains in vivo in the body. Neuronal activity in your brain, under your skull, radio frequency stimulation in rodent brains in vivo. Metal-free. They threw that in there. We're like, okay, why would it be? Why would there be metal in there? Well, the reason they have to feel that they should include metal-free is because, almost as we were just reading with the magnetic particles in the previous one, a lot of these nanotechnologies are based on things like nickel or gold or silver or palladium. And then they break them down like ferritin. You got your ferritins. But this doesn't use it. So what does this one use? Well, I know Charles Lieber was talking a lot about graphene. And I know Robert Langer was working with Charles Lieber. And I know Robert Langer basically created Moderna. And I know his patents dealing with mRNA. And I know that's not related to this. So why am I going off on these tangents? As the use of radio frequency technologies increases, the impact of RF radiation on neurological functions continues to receive attention, rightfully so. Whether RF radiation can modulate whether radio frequency radiation can modulate ongoing neuronal activity by non-thermal mechanisms has been debated for decades. They've been talking about whether radio waves can modulate, can interfere, can affect, can change ongoing neuronal activity. Neuronal activity, brain waves, brain patterns, thoughts. Everything that goes on inside your reality is a courtesy of your neuronal activity by non-thermal mechanisms. Well, most of the metal ones require the thermal, so that makes sense. Has been debated for decades. However, the interactions between radiated energy, radio frequencies, and metal-based neural probes during experimentation could impact neural activity. Absolutely, I would imagine so. Making interpretation of the results difficult, depending on which side you're on. I'm sure they both have their own conclusions. There's probably a huge going debate about which is more effective at controlling your neuronal activity. But I'm sure they both do pretty well, if not excellent. To address this problem, we modified a miniature one-photon calcium-2 imaging device to record, or CA2, sorry, imaging device to record interference-free neural activity and compared the results to those acquired using metal containing silicon probes. We monitored the neural activity of an awake rodent brain under radio frequency energy exposure at what? 950 megahertz? You don't say. And in sham control paradigm, spiking activity was reliably affected by radio frequency neuronal responses using metal-free optical recordings at an induced local electric field strength up to 230 volts per meter. Our results suggest that radio frequency exposure higher than levels that are allowed by regulatory limits in real-life scenarios do not affect. But is there some type of... I mean, it's FEMA and it's an emergency sound. I wonder if there was ever a law passed or some type of ordinance or some type of exception made for these types of sounds, for an emergency sound. Why would they you can't make the claim that you've had experts looking into the matter to see whether or not it was a safe level, a safe frequency, without doing it, being... I mean, you can get sued too. It depends. I mean, if you're representing the news and you're supposed to be, yeah. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this. So, I'm going to be updating this and figuring out a way to bring you guys this video in the future in a better structure with all the necessary detail. I don't think we got much to worry about the 4th. I know myself, my TV will be off, my phone will be off. I'll be Amish for a day. Should be Amish every day, really. We're playing with the beast technology. Technology is from the beast. Technology is the beast. What a crazy statement, Dustin. Before I go, anybody want to talk about anything? Got any questions? Because I'm wrapping it up right now. October 11th is what I'd be paying attention to, but I'm not going to take chances on the 4th. I never... Man, if you guys seen if you went through what I just went through trying to talk about this the first time around, the first 20 times around. Now I go through stuff. It's part of this channel. It's a part of being super shadow banned. And I know I'm super shadow banned because I was able to get like 1,000 subscribers in a matter of a couple of months at one point. And then it got less, and then it was like, now we're here. And it's not that my content got worse. I watched some of them old videos and I'm like almost embarrassed to watch them. Now I can actually articulate and explain and prove, show what it is that I'm talking about far better than I was when I was gaining all those subscribers. So it's either people hate good content or the other. Screw tube. And it's not... Yeah, look what's happening to Rumble right now, guys. I was right on that one, too. I said Rumble is basically created the same way Tucker was created. It's the same way Alex was created. The same way Russell Brand was created. They're all nothing but an idol, a symbol of something that will be taken down. And everybody that has a similar mindset or holds that up as something that they want to relate to, when that gets taken down, that means they're taking those people down. No, You know what's hilarious to me is that there's people that believe Russell Brand is completely, so the monetization of his channel. They're like, oh, because these girls came out and like made these allegations against him, YouTube is coming out and saying, well, you're not going to make money off of us anymore. But yet they still use his channel to monetize, meaning they're still showing ads on Russell Branch, and we're supposed to believe that Russell's not seeing any of that money. You know what type of lawsuit? I mean, give me a break. Just what do they expect us to believe? Are people really this stupid where we're going to just keep falling for these things over and over and over? Yeah, Rumble's no good. BitChute's no good. Odyssey's no good. If it were good, it wouldn't exist at this point. Back in the glory days when we were able to talk about this stuff, that's when like it was real. We are getting to the points where everything we're using is courtesy of our enemy. And our enemy, by their perception, they have already made us theirs. And by extension, they're ours. Unless you love thy enemy, keep thy enemy close. Keep your friends close and your enemy closer. I don't know. That would make sense, though, right? They definitely want us using their platforms. And I kind of want to keep using YouTube almost in defiance of it. Well, and other reasons that I feel as though I have to for some. And it doesn't matter anyway. I've tried using Rumble. I've tried using BitChute. It doesn't work. I can't load my videos. Otherwise, it would do it. I don't mean to sound frustrated, and I'm not. It's obviously not you guys. It's just this gets a little old after a while. I'm gonna wrap it up. Anything you guys want to say? Any questions, real quick, before I go? Yeah, so that's kind of the direction I was going to take it to, Mitz. I think it's only a matter of time. I think in person. Now, it's not necessarily going to be preaching on a street corner, but there's got to be ways. And I'm a pretty creative person. So, with God's help, maybe I'll come up with an alternative. Because this clearly isn't it. I'm glad I reached the few people I did, because those people are important for whatever the next step is, which we'll get there. And it won't be long either. Well, I hope you guys have a good night. And even better day tomorrow. I really mean that too. Like, hope everything that could go good for you goes good. And anything that goes shitty, hopefully you don't pay any mind to, because you're feeling great. God bless. Much love. Peace.